This is what happens when leadership abandons law and order. You have cops surrounded. Protesters are literally screaming, "Kill yourself." And the city is burning. All while Democrats pretend like this is just another night in LA. Let's watch this. Now, this is just out of control.
Fucking bitch. Pulls a fucking gun out on us. Fucking bitches. These bitches run.
All caused by Democrats, y'all. And trust me, it gets worse. Because what they told you on the news was simply a lie. I want y'all to see this. First, just to sum up what we just seen, this is Los Angeles. American troops are being screamed at by protesters flying foreign flags. Why? Because ICE dared to enforce the law. And yet, somehow, Democrats want you to believe this is about peaceful immigration rights. Look at this.
He doesn't care. Trump doesn't care about the migrants. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. He doesn't care that people are being held without water for 12 to 24 hours. A man is screaming for his child. He is screaming because he was taken away from his child and his pregnant wife. That is why we are here. That is why I am here. This is unacceptable. ICE is protecting us from what? From the man that's working in the flower district? That's what ICE is protecting us from? Think about it logically, it makes no sense. Our system is broken, and then we punish people. The table is big enough for all of us. There is enough food. There is enough resources. We can say, we want to make society better. We can say that. We can do that. There's more of us than Trump. We tell them what we want. And we want a fair and equitable society.
I misspoke too. I said that in reference to the previous clip, and then I started talking about this one. What I meant to say, or should have said rather, was in reference to this next clip. But the National Guard was being screamed at by rioters with Mexican flags, and the question Benny Johnson asked under that was, who's funding this? Who is funding it? Who's organizing it? And why are we letting this happen on U.S. soil? Now, Cory Booker, this guy, went on national TV and said that these were peaceful protests. While police, you just watch police literally dodge bricks
Peaceful protests launching in Los Angeles. And again, any violence against police officers should not be accepted. Local authorities can handle that. But remember, a lot of these peaceful protests are being generated because the President of the United States is sowing chaos and confusion by arresting people who are showing up for their immigration hearings, who are trying to abide by the law. The reality.
This was not peaceful, bro. That's not peaceful. That's political cover for chaos. And this is what they're doing. They trying to spin, gaslight, and continue to try to attempt to change the camera angle. Metaphorically, that is. And right on cue. I mean, right on cue. The media is gaslighting. The media followed with this right here. Check this out, y'all.
Demonstrations had been going on right outside the Federal Detention Center. Most of those demonstrators were very peaceful. They were chanting, they were shouting. People were driving by, honking their horns. And again, they were expressing their anger about the detention of so many immigrants at the Federal Center. Most of the evening, the federal agents stayed inside the building, but at a certain point, some of the demonstrators got very close to the property. In fact, some of them went onto the property, started tagging the building, started banging on fences, and shortly after all that happened, the agents started firing off tear gas, and then they came out. Demonstrations had been going on right outside the Federal Detention Center.
You calling these mostly peaceful, and then right after that, you talk about all the volatile things that took place and why they had to deploy the National Guard. They called this mostly peaceful, as rioters are literally taunting them in the background. You see them just going crazy. Horns going. Like, how far gone do you have to be to call this normal? Man. Now, Bongino says the FBI is hunting this violent leftist who decided to throw bricks.
Jesus fucking Christ. What the fuck? Oh.
Okay, now I'm not going to show y'all anymore, but he made it clear that the FBI is done playing nice, and if you attack law enforcement and if you obstruct federal operations, they're coming for you. He, in this post I'm going to read for y'all, it says, Dan Bongino reveals that they are working to identify the radical, violent leftist protesters who assaulted ICE and law enforcement in Los Angeles on Friday and vows to bring them to justice. He said, he wrote on X, the right to assemble and protest does not include a license to attack law enforcement officers or impede or obstruct in our law and immigration operations. Quote, we are thoroughly reviewing the evidence from yesterday's incident in Los Angeles, and we are working with the U.S. Attorney's Office to ensure the perpetrators, are brought to justice. These days of chaos ruling the streets are over. Either obey the law or go to jail. There's no third option. And I'll just kind of skim through this just a little bit just so y'all can see they deploying, doing what they do. My fault. I don't know why I keep saying deploying. But this isn't about immigration. This is about power. The radical leftist group using identity politics to try to shield destruction. Now, this councilwoman calls to escalate. Fight? Is that what this says? Am I reading this correctly? Hold on.
They know how quickly we mobilize. That's why they're changing tactics. Because community defense works and our resistance has slowed them down before. And if they're escalating their tactics, then so are we. When they show up, we gotta show up even stronger.
Wow. That's a real kicker. A sitting LA City Council member telling the mob to escalate? Let that sink in. Elected officials fanning the flames while communities are getting destroyed. think I'm playing? Look at this store owner who tries to resist a robbery from taking place, y'all. This is just so sad.
Watch out, nigga. You know, you sucked up. Watch out. Watch out.
All right, now obviously I want this video to be able to stay up for y'all to see, but you seeing what's taking place. This man tried to protect his business and tried to stop what he knew what was coming. He got jumped, beaten, and literally left to fend for himself. This is what equality looks like when the government steps back and criminals step forward. But Newsom says Trump didn't deploy the National Guard. He's spreading disinformation, according to the left. Here's the video proof.
You know what? That's
Now, we've seen the media chaos ourselves. And then we see Newsom trying to spin it, or he tried to spin it and said Trump didn't deploy the National Guard. But guess what? Look at the footage. But not only that, Tom Homan confirms deployment.
And, you know, like I said many times, these elected officials or these non-government organizations, they can't cross the line either. I mean, we got people like, you know, Hakeem Jeffries saying he's going to dox ICE employees, you know, ICE agents out there with masks on. They're wearing masks to protect themselves and their families because they've been doxxed, their families been doxxed, their life's been threatened, their families have been threatened. I know myself, I had over 1,000 protesters in my house. I expect that as the borders are, but these men and women are putting their lives online every day. They arrested a lot of bad people yesterday and today. They arrested child sex offenders. They arrested people convicted of robbery. They arrested public safety, not only significant public safety threats, but national security threats. They arrested gang members. We're making Los Angeles safer. And Mayor Bass ought to be thanking us for making her city safer. And the term migrant, as Joe Concha rightfully said earlier, they're illegal aliens. There are illegal aliens in this country, and we welcome. We're the most giving country in the world. But these are illegal aliens who committed a crime by crossing this border illegally, then yet committed another crime. Again, yesterday's about a criminal investigation into money laundering, tax evasion, and some of the funds going to cartels in Mexico and Colombia that fund their operations of sending narcotics to this country, killing American people. This is about enforcing the law, and again, we're not going to apologize for doing it. We're stepping up. She says they're going to mobilize. Well, guess what? We're already ahead of the game. We're already mobilizing. We're going to bring National Guard in tonight. We're going to continue doing our job. We're going to push back on these people, and we're going to force the law.
Tom, it's Lydia.
Trump sent them in, not tomorrow, not later, but immediately. Immediately. I want y'all to see this other footage that came up of them arriving. The guard rolled in by thousands. Downtown LA lit up like a war zone from what I'm seeing, and the only thing standing between innocent people and total collapse was them.
Good
morning. Yeah, we've already seen a large growing National Guard presence here in downtown LA. If you take a look behind me here, you can see troops are stationed along Alameda Street as another protest is expected to take place later today near City Hall. This follows President Trump's deployment of 2,000 National Guard members in response to a series of immigration protests across the city. This is new video from overnight showing the troops arrive. They stopped at City Hall after driving through Paramount, then ended up here at the Federal Building. Meantime, this follows another night of protest. Video from last night shows tense moments in downtown LA as protesters clashed with police, some setting off fireworks and starting fires. Officers responded with what appeared to be tear gas to disperse the crowds. In a separate incident, demonstrators were seen entering a damaged convenience store in Compton and looting items from inside. According to the LAPD, multiple individuals who returned to the area after a dispersal order was issued on Alameda Street were detained and are expected to be booked for failure to disperse. We spoke with Mayor Bass about the deployment of the national.
Bass, new scum. What a failure to not only California, but to the American people. Time after time after time after time after time again. I don't understand the level of delusion that Gavin Newsom leads with, and the people who follow him continue to follow behind. Don't make sense to me, but then Trump made it official. He made it official, y'all. No more mask at protests. No more hide behind the chaos. And the left, oh my gosh, lost their minds. Juliette Kayyem, I believe this is how you say her name, actually blamed Trump. But before I show y'all that, I want y'all to, read this with me. Great job by the National Guard in Los Angeles after 2 days of violence, clashes, and unrest. We have an incompetent Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass, or Bass, people get funny, anywho, who were, as usual, just look at how they handled the fires, and now they're very slow permitting disaster. Federal permitting is complete. Unable to handle the task. These radical left protests by instigators and often paid troublemakers will not be tolerated. Also, from now on, masks will not be allowed to be worn at protests. What do these people have to hide and why? Again, thank you to the National Guard for a job well done. Now, I'm going to show y'all how this Harvard professor, Juliette Kayyem, I believe is how you say her name, is blaming Trump for this. Y'all, she's saying Trump escalated everything.
What Trump did yesterday is not typical and quite extreme given the circumstances on the street. Even though there was unrest, that's why police departments exist. When a president federalizes under Title X, the National Guard, he puts them under his authority to be deployed without knowledge of what the rules of engagement are, what the mission is, how are they going to work with locals, and does have the risk of heightening tensions rather than de-escalating. In law enforcement, you want to de-escalate the tensions, arrest those who have committed crimes, permit First Amendment protest, which is allowed, and not escalate it as Donald Trump did. What Trump did.
I'm sorry, but these are the same people who called experts during 2020. That's all I'm saying. This Harvard professor actually just blamed Trump for all this chaos. For all these days of fire, looting, tearing down buildings, tearing down the community, assaults. You can't reason with people who blame the firefighter for showing up while the house is burning. You can't trust people like that. Get them far, far away from me. The Democrats lied. The media spun it, okay? And people are paying the price right now for that. But the truth always breaks through. Keep your eyes open, please, y'all. And your voice is louder than their narrative. Be safe, please. Go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.